Hey guys, so I was sitting here thinking about how to get to our future selves. And I get this question a lot in my spiritual practice. How do I get to that vision? How do I get to be the person that I know that I want to be and do the things that I know that I'm being called to do? Well, first, you have to see it, right? You have to envision it and know that it is true. And then you have to reverse engineer back from the vision to where you are now and then go back because it's already been done or you couldn't see it, right? So, how do we do this? How do we become our future selves? Well, we ask our future selves, how do we become you? Well, Shah, how do I do that? Well, you tap into that great imagination that we've been given and you have a conversation with your future self. Now, here's the thing. When you're envisioning your future self, you could be envisioning even different timelines, or it could be this timeline just in a future time, so to speak. Time is, of course, a man made construct. Time is flowing. It flows. It doesn't stop. It doesn't say past, present, and future. It's goes back and forth. So we have to go to the future in order to create the past. That's how you reverse engineer. So have a seat, get very quiet and very still, burn some white candles, get very comfortable. I wouldn't do this in the mirror, but you can if you like. But the first thing you do is you envision your future self, the job, the dream job, the bank account, the spouse that you want, the kids that you have, or the house that you live in, the car that you drive, the style of clothing that you wear, even down to the way you speak, to the way you smell, to the food that you eat, that you would taste in a day. What does your future self do every day? How are they maintaining their lives every day? Once again, you're asking, well, how do I figure this out? You ask your future self. You sit down, you get yourself in a very comfortable place, you burn the candles that you're going to burn. You say the meditations that you're going to say. And you get quiet and you ask your future self, can you come in? Can you tell me exactly how you got to point A to point B? And you get very quiet and very still and you listen. Simple. And you take direction. Simple. Your future self is going to come in. Let's say you're looking at your future self and you're like, "Hey, how did you get the dream guy that how did you do that? How did you get the how?" And your future self is going to say, "First of all, I had to love myself. I had to do all this freaking shadow work. And I had to become the best version of myself so I can love myself. I had to become what I wanted to see in other people. Point blank, period. If I wanted a healthy person, I had to be a healthy person. And this isn't talking about like weight and all that stuff. It's talking about being a healthy, whole person that loves themselves completely and wholly so that I can love you completely and wholly. And wholly as a whole person and holy as in righteousness. And righteousness just means correctly. So I can love you in a correct way. So I don't know how to do that. I can't love you in a correct way if I don't love me in a correct way. So the first thing your higher self or your future self may tell you how they got the spouse that you've been dreaming about that you want is I loved myself first. I loved myself first. I started doing the things that made me feel good. That's the second thing, is doing things to make you feel good. I guess I'm your higher self speaking for you. I'm channeling this information. You have to do things to make yourself feel good. I mean, just feel good. And when I say feel good, I don't mean like you have to be like laughing all the time or like on these super joyful highs, which are cool, creating Zen moments and things like that. But I mean like just an overall happiness of spirit is needed in order to attract the spouse, the person that you're going to be with. If you are in these low frequency vibrations, you're going to attract that karmic partner, not the one that is healthy and whole, not the one that is ready to make a relationship, that's ready to settle down, that's ready to have a functioning, healthy, growing type of relationship that you keep asking yourself for. That's how you attract that person. If you asked your future self how did they get that person, they would say that they didn't look for them. They were looking for themselves. They were looking for themselves. They were looking to be who they wanted to be. They were looking to live a life that they wanted to live. And they were doing that every day. Like every day. And there's nothing wrong with every day. Just looking out for you. Every day, just trying to figure out the life that you want to live that's best for you. Doing the things that make you feel good in the moment. Doing the things that make your life feel good in the long run. It's not all about like the goals and the plans, even though I do talk about that on this channel, and I'll definitely continue to talk about that and probably doing a video about that very soon. Um, Goals and plans are very important. But your future self didn't accomplish happiness, like true happiness, through goals and plans. Your true self, your future self got happiness by understanding what happiness was. So, happiness in itself is an entity, it's a spirit, it's an energy. It's not just this inanimate object. Happiness itself is an entity that has its own energy, and it can be called to you just like anything else, but it's called to you by the vibrations that you have. And I'm going to talk about attachments too and how we call attachments to us. It's not always a bad thing. I want happiness to be attached to me. I want love to be attached to me. And at a certain point, I want to be those things, become those things, meaning every cell of my body is vibrating in happiness. Every cell of my body is vibrating in love. If that's the case, that's going to change the DNA structure of my cell, and I will become love at a certain point. It will replicate love in my DNA. It will replicate hope. It will replicate happiness. Happiness is what we're talking about, not hope. But it will replicate that, and I will be that. I will always vibrate at that, and I will always attract that. So these are lessons that your future self figured out to become your future self, was how to love her or himself properly, fully, and wholly, and righteously in all forms. So, that being said, the lesson from this, I guess, from this moment of why I wanted to make this video, why Spirit was telling me to make this video, is because maybe the collective needs to know that in order for you to reach who you want to be, self-love is in order. And the future self is letting you know that my first step to getting to where I was in all areas, whether that's the spouse I wanted, the career I wanted, the money I wanted, the body I wanted, whatever it was to love myself enough to do it, to love myself enough to understand it, to love myself enough to control it. Self-discipline is self-love. That's what self-discipline is. It's self-love. And when we don't have self-discipline, there's a part of us that don't love ourselves enough to be what it is that we should be. Because here's the thing, we're beings, meaning we're always being something. And if we're not being what we're called to be, then we're being what we're not. You don't get to sit in the middle and chill. There's never a standstill point. You either go forward or you go backwards. So your future self is calling you to come forward. Like, now is the time. And they're telling you how to do it. I guess your future self wanted to speak. I don't think it's the higher self. I think these are two different entities. I think you have your higher self and then you have your future self. Your future self is the self that's in this domain, but is living in a different space in this domain. I think your higher self is one that is almost a dual consciousness between the astral ethereal body and the higher self. And I think these are two different bodies, maybe. I'm getting off topic. The topic of this is, hey, your future self wanted to give you a message. And the message is love yourself. That's the only how you get to your future. Okay, that's it. Bye.